What's going on, gang? How are we all doing? Welcome to the show. Blue card, what the fuck? And I already know what you're thinking. What the fuck is a blue card, right? And we are going to get into that. Do not worry. What implications it can have on the game, on the beautiful game. How is it going to be implemented? At every nut and cranny and corner and angle, we are going to look at this because I think this is a very, very interesting concept that football, I was going to say are trying to introduce, but they're actually going to. So let me just read out the article that got released today because this is going to be a huge, significant change in the football landscape, okay? So a first phase of blue cards are set to be introduced to football. It'll be used to force a player off the field for 10 minutes if he commits a cynical foul or protest against the referee. In other words, it's a Bruno Fernandes card. Anyone who watches United knows that has got Bruno fucking written all over it. They might as well have a card with his face on it and just be like, Bruno, there you go, mate. Go sit 10 minutes out because you're moaning or whining about something, or you just lashed out and you've got to go sit in the sin bin. Effectively, that's what card it is. So for everyone just joining, just a quick repeat of what we're going to be talking about today and what we're going to be breaking down. And I'd love to get your thoughts and feelings on this, of course, as well. So make sure you get them in the comments section. A first phase of blue cards are set to be introduced to football. It'll be used to force a player off the field for 10 minutes if he commits a cynical foul or protest against the referee, okay? Jamie Goggins in the cut saying, easy Nick, been a while, my bad. No problem at all, mate. It's just nice to see you. I hope you're good. We've also got Charlie Malman with a comment, which I can't see for whatever reason. I don't know why it's not letting me see it. But basically saying that UEFA has already said no to it and they want to test it in low leagues in the summer. Whoever came up with this idea needs to be sacked. I mean, it's very strong opinions straight off the bat. But not just, I don't just want United fans, people in the TikTok comments as well, because I am live on TikTok. So if you don't follow us on TikTok, Real Reds Talk. And if you don't follow us on YouTube, Real Reds Talk. Make sure you check us out. Link in the description. But make sure you get your opinions in, because I don't just want United fans. Any kind of any fans who want to get kind of throw the 2 pence in on this one, I'd love it. The more interaction, the better. And what I've done is I've done a list of 10 questions of, basically just questioning certain things about it. How's this going to be implemented? How are the players going to react? What the coach is going to do about it? Will it ruin the game? So the first thing I'm going to look at, and my first question for you guys as well is, how will this impact the dynamics of a football match, okay? Obviously, straight off the bat, there's going to be a numerical advantage. That's just a simple thing. It's like a red card. You take them off. Obviously, not for the same amount of period as a red card, but there is still a numerical advantage. So then that's where tactical adjustments come into it, quick thinking on the field. Our manager at the moment, Erik ten Hag, I mean, he hasn't necessarily done it this season, but last season, he made decisions in-game where he just win it. And he did it when he was alongside Steve McLaren as an assistant coach. He's very, very good at it. So maybe certain coaches are great to adapt. Jurgen Klopp can do it. Pep Guardiola can do it. Maybe that's going to have to be quicker, because if a couple of players are getting sin bins left, right, centre, I'm just going to call them sin bin. I know it's a blue card, but I'm just going to call it a sin bin for now, just for the sake of it. Then you're going to have to change, there could be a 10-minute period in that game where you could just go really on the offensive, or where you have to bring everyone back together, and then that changes the whole dynamic. So there's a lot of kind of angles you can look at this from. There's going to be an increased importance of discipline with this extra kind of thing coming in. Strategic fouls, so no more kind of Fernandinho, because you talk about cynical fouls. Is that, whenever you think of that, straight to my mind, what appeared was Fernandinho. He was the best at the dark arts. When someone's through on goal, or Chiellini did it as well. He did it to Saka, I think it was, but that probably should have been a red card. Where he just, a little tug, pulling back, not like a Tom Garrett tug, just a tug like a foul. And that is a cynical foul, in my opinion. Also, the game flow. How's the game flow going to work? Is it going to be disrupted constantly? Because you have these VAR checks now where they're like, right, pause for 5 minutes. Sometimes takes fucking 7-8 minutes and you're waiting. That's in a game. So you're still going to have that there. You're still going to have other decisions to be made and offsides and these kind of things. And then you're going to have this on top of it. It's going to be a stop-start game straight off the bat. The referee influence, how is that going to work? Again, it's all subjective, I suppose. So each referee will kind of be implemented in different ways. There's going to be strategic time wasting, so people might use it to their advantage at times, of course. If you're 1-0 up, someone gets a blue card and gets sent to the fucking sin bin or whatever they're going to call it, then they'll be like, all right, all we need to do now, lads, keep hold of it in the corner or whatever, last 5 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Like, people are going to use it to their advantage, and obviously it's going to be used to a disadvantage as well. And also there's an entertainment factor there. the entertainment will be taken out of it because, again, you're pausing, stopping, waiting for decisions. I mean, they can't even get VAR right at the moment. So what's to say they're gonna be able to implement this with the right education and training? I don't know. And obviously, the biggest impact it's going to have is on results, because it's gonna change a lot of games, and it's going to be another one where you're going to have shitloads of kind of journalists and media outlets who are just all over. As soon as they probably heard this, it was like, oh great, we've got something else to kind of back pages. Blue card for Bruno, was it worth it? And it's something else to talk about. I also feel there's a point to talk about with the potential abuse or misinterpretation of this kind of blue card system by players and referees. You talk about simulation in certain situations. Again, it can all be related back to your VARs and your yellow cards and your red cards, of course. It's similar principles in that sense. But I just mentioned there about the interpretation of it being subjective. You know, someone in the chat right here, Mudge has just joined, he could think a foul is different to what I think. Do you know? So how do you get that well-rounded opinion of like, right, that's a cynical foul? Do you know what I'm saying? How are they going to narrow that down? That's what I want to know. There's going to be strategic exploitation, and like I've already touched on. Different referees applying different things. Even more pressure as well. Don't forget, I mean, refs, in my personal opinion, I'm going to touch on this a little bit later on in the show, in my opinion, should have to come out after a game and explain their decisions. That has always been a thing. Players have to do it, managers have to do it, so why the fuck do referees not have to do it and stand in front of a camera and say, I give that VAR, I give that foul because I thought he kicked him from, I was like 60 yards away and I didn't want to change my mind. And then people in the VAR room didn't want to change it. So we just stuck with the decision. Because if they had to come out and do that, ultimately, then they should be penalised. They have no accountability whatsoever, refs. So there's going to be a huge learning curve with this coming in. And it's not even a rumour. It's not like they're talking about it as if, oh, we might do it. They're doing it. They are doing it. So this is coming into football, whether people like it or not. It's going to happen. So again, a learning curve. There's going to be a lot of fan confusion because we don't even, the concept of it is mind-boggling. So how they're going to implement it into the game, I think, is interesting. Also, can the blue card system effectively deter players from engaging in cynical fouls or heated protest, or do kind of other measures need to be considered as well? What specific technologies are going to be put in place? Because I don't think they can make good, decent use of technology is with VAR and stuff. So this worries me. I'm not going to lie, it worries me a little bit. Will it be enough to encourage less cynical fouls? Because that's what they're pushing. That is the narrative. The kind of less misconduct on the pitch. That's what they want. But then also, I know this sounds bad, but there's an element of surprise with a little bit of that. You know, when it's like half and half and you don't know what's what. It's maybe a little bit of, you know, controversy. I don't mind that in a game. It's what makes the game entertaining. It makes it a little bit spicy. I feel like they're taking all the spice. Let's just say it's a curry. They're taking all the spice out of the curry, and now effectively it's a fucking korma. Do you know what I mean? That's what they're making. They're making it almost a zero contact sport for me. So I think that's interesting. What are the potential challenges in implementing and enforcing the blue card system consistently across different leagues and levels of football? Because that's going to be interesting. There's going to be different levels everywhere. Are you going to have varied officiating standards, training and facilities to support kind of the lower leagues, like Charlie touched on before? There's going to be different league regulations, culture and region differences. You've seen how UEFA interpret handball and then how the Premier League interpret handball. So it's confusing, right? Because when you're watching a game, you're like, oh, handball. And you're like, well, that's handball in Europe, but that's not handball in the Premier League. And you're like, okay, so we've got to tailor our game for each competition that we go into. A little bit bizarre, if you ask me. Also, as well, oh, they've put a poll up. Thank you very much for that, whoever did that. I think it's Brandon, absolute legend. Yeah, let me know. Talk to me. I think there's a poll in the chat as well. Do you want this blue card? Would you be happy about it, or would you not? If the answer is yes, please talk to me. I'm open. I will listen to opinions. If not, likewise as well, get involved in the comment section because I would love to hear it. I also think convincing stakeholders and fans is going to be a huge one with this. You know, you're convincing football clubs. You're like, right, we are going to trial this blue card system. This is how it's going to work. And they're going to go, okay. Well, you said this about VAR, and that's still a mess, and that still cost us finals, and that still cost us a lot of money. So what's going to change about this? They're going to have to be really, really convincing with the stakeholders and fans. Fans are the life and blood of football. If you can't convince fans about this system, I don't know what to tell you. So I think, yeah, tailoring this system to fans to stakeholders and to different ages as well to implement it into the game. Because people can sit there and they can say, oh, it's just a blue card, that's all. It will change a lot of things. It will change a lot of things. So are there alternative solutions or improvements to the disciplinary system that could address the issue, cynical fouls or protest more effectively? How can we improve this straight from the start? Yeah, I'm not pretending to be like UEFA or anything like that. But how can we improve this system if it was to be brought into football? I think one thing they can do is enhance video review, expand the range of how they use it, because you're still looking at situations now. Was it Arsenal against Newcastle where it's on the line, or who was it where the thigh was in the way? I can't remember what game it was. You'll all know what I'm going on about. You could literally see it, but you couldn't. I think it's Ben White's knee or something. I can't remember the player. And they still haven't got technology to cover like whether it's over the line or not. It's a bit bizarre to me, that. So I think enhanced video review definitely needs to be used. You need to gradually increase the severity of the penalties to make it more impactful. Education is a massive one as well, because if you're going to implement this, everyone's going to have to be. It's a new thing. You have to teach it every single team almost in the football pyramid. This is going to be integrated within that, as well as the rest receiving the right training as well. One thing I've been a fan of, I mentioned about refs coming out in post-match with their thoughts and their decisions and why they made certain decisions, etc. I think a ref being mic'd up is what football needs. Again, no accountability whatsoever. They've got no microphone. I'm pretty sure rugby league or rugby union do that, don't they? Where they have a mic on and they're talking through the decisions and stuff. And I know they've done it a couple of times because I've seen it on Sky Sports when they went through the one in the Tottenham game. But permanently, I think they should be mic'd up. And I think you should be able to hear what's going on. Because the fans in the stadium, for a lot of stadiums, when a VAR check is ongoing, they don't have a Scooby-Doo what's going on. They don't have a fucking clue. So they're just like, are we just waiting about to see what's that? Like, do you know what I mean? So I definitely think they need to be mic'd up. I think they need to engage with the football community. And I think they need to do post-match panels explaining the decisions. They are my thoughts, at least. I'm going to have a sip of my Capri Sun, but I'll read out some comments if there are any. Yeah, let's have a look. Who decides what's cynical or not? VAR, for fuck's sake. I reckon it's just going to cause more VAR more for the referees to mess up and then be unfairly scrutinised too. I agree. Shreya says, I'd take a little break and all hell breaks loose. LeMayo, blue cards. Can't there just be more regulation and attentiveness to VAR decisions? Wouldn't that help more? And Jay says, yes, Nick, maybe we could understand more if the ref explained his perspective on big decisions. Absolutely. Absolutely. It'll take the X factor out of big derbies and matches, bring some consistency into decisions. Yeah, absolutely agree with you. Some smart comments in there. Get involved in the TikTok as well. It's very, very quiet in there. TikTok's usually booming. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to talk about what roles the referees and officials play in this as well, because I think ensuring fair and consistent application of this is pivotal. Is pivotal the right word? I think I'm using the right word. And how can they avoid controversy or disputes in relation to this? So clear communication first and foremost, and a consistent application of it. That's why I have no faith in this system, and I'll keep repeating this, because of the way VAR is being used. I don't trust that they're going to get this right. I really, really don't. So forgive me if I have trust issues like Drake with this kind of system that they're trying to put in, but it's just, yeah, I don't know. Need it like the NFL, ref makes an announcement to the crowd and plays on decision after it's made. Exactly. We've all been on Old Trafford or whatever team you support, and you've been sat in the stadium at the time, and you don't have a clue. You're just left in the dark. Fans are left in it, and fans are the bloodline of the sport. Do you know what I mean? So we need to be kind of filled in, and that's why I'm talking about communication, team collaboration as well. Collaborate with the managers, collaborate with the players, and the whole kind of community around the system. And then, as I mentioned before, with the referee kind of assessments, I think that'd be interesting. How will the blue card system impact player behaviour, and what psychological effects might it have on the players during the match? Are we talking about, softer challenges now? This is being put in. Are players going to be less wary? Is it going to make the game softer? Are we almost getting to a point where it's like, and it's going to become like NBA basically, where it's like a no contact sport? Is it going to be like that? Is it going to be more calculated and less impulsive behaviour? Emotional control, what I'm talking about again. Bruno Fernandes will probably look at this blue card coming in and he'll be like, oh, I might as well retire now. because I am going to get a blue card he gets a yellow card as it is every single game. He'll get a blue card. He will be off almost. Anyone who watches Bruno Fernandes for Manchester United, this has got him written all over it. It's a Bruno card. And he will be on the bench 9 times out of 10 in most games because he can't control his emotions. It's one of the reasons when we talk about him being a captain, he struggles to control his emotions at times. He just blows his lid with certain situations. So I think he'll be getting a lot of these. And then that's obviously, a negative to us and a disadvantage because we have a player like that. Then you have to kind of rein it in and try, there's a lot of adaptation for this kind of added pressure. So you see what I'm saying? So it can affect the game in multiple ways that you probably don't even think about. Especially excitement as well. When we talk about excitement in the game, it's taking that out. There's going to be frequent stoppages. There's going to be more time wasting. Teams are going to have a more kind of defensive mindset. There's going to be reduced physicality. Unpredictable becomes predictable. Like I said, you're taking a spicy curry and turning it into a korma. Disruption in key moments, reduced enthusiasm if fans don't approve of it, and then a kind of potential over-reliance on tech. Do you know what I'm saying? They're my issues with it. I'm going to go through kind of the positives and negatives towards the end, or at least in my opinion, what I feel about it. I feel this is crazy that they're going this way. I don't think people reacted to it how I thought initially, because I've seen people on Twitter and social media and stuff, and they're saying, they're kind of reacting casual to it as if it's like an idea that's been, kind of chucked out there. But it's happening. They are definitely going to do it. And I'd love to hear other people's thoughts, like pundits alike and people in the media, on what they think of this. I think the majority, 75%, would probably go against it. In our poll on YouTube, it's a terrible idea, 100%. So, yeah, I think it's interesting. Right, how have other sports successfully implemented similar disciplinary measures, and what lessons can be learned from those experiences? Now, we're talking about positives and negatives here. Give me your 5 positives and your 5 negatives in the comment section with this blue card system. It's Sam said this is just straight BS. Yeah. That's it, mate. That's it. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. They're going to start with the lower leagues, and then they're going to kind of go up like that. I think they just sat there and they're like, right, how can we... I don't think this is a decision that's been made where, like, how can we... Is this going to improve the game? Or is this just going to improve discipline? Is it worth taking that away, the excitement of the game and the odd, dodgy foul or whatever? Because it's nowhere near as bad as it was in the 90s. But is it worth taking that element away to get better discipline in the game? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe from a referee's perspective it is, because it's easier to manage the game. But from a viewer's perspective, is it? I don't think it is. The only positives I can see with this, obviously foul play and misconduct is going to be reduced. And when people are getting, fucking leg breakers and stuff, fair enough. Like I said, I don't think that happens as much as it did back in the day. But when stuff like that happens, or when Saka, for example, was it the Euros where Chiellini fucking drags him down to the floor, stuff like that, you're like, okay, yeah, maybe a blue card would be right in that situation. I thought a red card and a slap on the head would be the perfect for that situation. But maybe that's why they're bringing it in for so that I don't mind, and obviously fairness, if they get it right and implement it right, will be there as well. But then you look at the negatives. We're talking about game disruption. We're going to have VAR decisions, offside calls, waiting for that, blue cards. Like, how many things do you want in 90 minutes for a consumer to watch? And then you talk about added time onto that as well. There's going to be subjectivity in officiating. I could think a blue card's different to what Shreyas could think, or Lewis, or Brandon, or Jay McGrogan, or it's Sam. Like, we can all have different opinions of what a blue card should be. I'm sure we would if we discussed it now. We'd have a conversation, but actually, no, I don't think that was. I think that Bruno one was there. I think, like, do you know what I'm saying? So the subjectivity, strategic exploitation. I think managers will be looking at this now and how it's switching up and what they could do. Maybe if 2 players get a blue card there, we can go on full offence. We can switch this up. We can use it to our advantage, but then it's going to be disadvantage to that team. There's going to be player frustration because they're already getting frustrated with certain decisions at the moment that they are not getting right. And this is a reoccurring theme throughout the full thing. So there's going to be player frustration there. There's going to be impact on creative players. and it's going to be increased pressure on refs. So overall, really, when you do actually weigh up the pros and cons, this isn't a show on pros and cons. I do that after every game. When you weigh it up, I don't think it's worth it. I really, really don't think it's a great idea. I think get what you're doing right at the moment and then maybe talk about something like this. But when you can't get the simple things right and the simple decisions, why bring something in to make it more complicated? That makes no sense to me whatsoever. So that's blue card for you. That is, hopefully I've gone through in depth on each corner that you possibly could, or any thought or opinion that you had. I've covered it. And thank you for getting your thoughts in on that. We're just going to talk a little bit quickly about a couple bits of news that are kind of floating about. I've seen a lot about Ivan Toney at the moment, and I want to put my 2 pence in on this one. Number one, I don't think we'll sign Ivan Toney. Even if we get Champions League, I don't think we'll sign Ivan Toney. And I know Manchester United is a huge draw. It's one of the biggest clubs in the world. But where we're at in a minute as a team, I don't think Tony's won any trophies apart from obviously promotions and things like that. Maybe you can convince him, but I think the competition for him going into the summer, I don't think Manchester United are going to be able to get him. I think it is a tap-in for Arsenal to go get him. Ivan Toney, in my opinion, could sign for Arsenal and be that piece that wins them the league. He's underrated for me, Ivan Toney. He can do everything you want from a striker. He is top level and gone up through the ranks. Do you know what I mean? I think he's a serious talent. Oh, he's definitely going to leave Brentford because he is above Brentford as a player. He is, and Brentford know that. But if he went to Arsenal, let's say in January, I think they'd win the league. That's how good he is. I know Man City's there or thereabouts, but look at the impact that Haaland had on them. I know he was winning before it, but yeah, I also think as well. I should call him Erling Højlund then. Jesus Christ, Rasmus Højlund looks like a top talent. He's not. Shrindy's saying I want a ginger card. Well, what would a ginger card? What would that implement? What comes with a ginger card? Is it just for being ginger? Because I don't think we don't have any ginger players, do we? Obviously, Scholes, former player, but right now, do we have any ginger players at United? Rashford had a bit of an Ice Spice moment going on, didn't he, when he dyed his hair ginger, but is that classed as ginger? I don't know. I don't think we've got any ginger players. Maybe one of the shows we could do an all ginger 11. See, we get the best ginger 11. And also, are you ginger, Shrinder? That's what I want to know. Anyway, that took me off track. I can't remember what I was talking about now. Rasmus Højlund. I think Rasmus Højlund is going to be a top talent, and I don't want to stunt his growth. So then, if you bring in someone like an Ivan Toney, do you then bench Højlund and play him in the odd cup game? Do you think that'd be great for his development, or do you just trust him now at the moment and then bring in a little bit of an older striker who's got a bit of experience, won in different countries? How would you tailor that, I suppose, is the question that I'm asking. Rasmus Højlund, experienced striker, 15-20 mil like a Taremi, or do you bring in a big dog and ask him to compete, or do you bring in a younger player and ask him to compete? That's the dynamic I think is fascinating, and I want to know what type of striker they're going in for in the summer. Not what names or whatever you want to talk about. What age profile, what type are you going for, and what would suit us right now? Are you going to be ruthless and just bring in a top dog and ask Rasmus to kind of come in and do a job when he can? That is interesting. Let's see what other bits of news we've got, because sorry if I've not read out some of your chats. Not a red, but more than a yellow. I mean, in that sense, it would make more sense doing that. I get what you're saying there. Because a blue card is kind of just, ironically, out of the blue. Do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't, do an orange card. Surely that would make more sense. You got yellow, orange, red. Colours. We're talking colours. Strange. Anyway, let me pull this up. Right. Because there was something else that I wanted to talk about. And it's completely skipped my mind now, so let me double check because I had it up on Twitter. Are we still calling it Twitter anymore, or is it just X? I don't feel right calling it X. Update on the Sandro. I think we all know about this. I've spoken about enough about the Sandro. It breaks my heart doing it anymore. So I don't want to go into that. Mason Mount and Malacia still not back. I mean, what is the... that is, people are going to call it a flop, but it's not really his fault, is it? With Mason Mount. Like, how many games has he played? I bet it's about 6. Mason Mount appearances for Man United. It's got to be about 6 or something. In the current club, United played 1 season. During his time, he's played 12 matches and scored 0 goals. But then about 5 or 6 of them starts, at least. Like, that is crazy. Spending 60 million quid. There was so much promise with Mount. And his injuries, God, what I don't know what's... I couldn't even tell you what injury he's got at the moment. I know before he came to United, he had, like, something wrong with his fucking... his pelvis or something like that. And he was out for a while. But then this one's, I'm sure, is a different... It's like a muscle strain in it. But he's been out for weeks. He's been out for ages, man. And also, I don't get where he fits in. I don't... Like, you're not going to drop Bruno Fernandes. Kobe and Casemiro finally look settled now in that midfield. I know he played on the right-hand side for Chelsea and he was decent there, but that's a different kind of setup under Tuchel. We obviously don't play with a back five or anything like that. So he was one of the attacking players in that system. We don't play that system. So where is Mason Mount going to fit in? That's what I want to know. Where is he going to fit in? No idea. I do want to see him back. I want to see him get an opportunity because I think he's a good player. I think he's a Ten Hag player. But we just haven't seen enough yet. Nowhere near enough. But let me know your thoughts on Mason Mount Malacia coming back. Can you see him having, some form of significance in the team? Let me know your thoughts and leave your comments and any kind of feedback on the blue card system and how you feel I went about it. And yeah, it's Friday tomorrow, don't forget. So we can all breathe and smile and all that kind of good stuff after work's finished if you are working tomorrow. And we'll have the Aston Villa preview tomorrow night as well. So as always, stay locked in. Smash a like in the video if you've enjoyed this show. It's just a quick one for you guys. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you to everyone who's been engaging, getting your comments in, all that stuff. It always helps when you're doing a solo show like I am tonight. Yeah, we'll see you for the Aston Villa preview tomorrow. We're going to have quite a few of us on that, so make sure you tune in for it. Have a lovely rest of your day, people. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.